Good afternoon, curling fans. Welcome back to this final game of the Baden Masters 2020 edition. So, our featured game today, the final of this competition, is very familiar team Edin from Sweden, hoping to capture their third title at this event. And some new young guns, it's Team Van Dorp from the Netherlands. So they'll be looking to capture their first title here. So we're just in the first end. The teams just did a last shot draw to decide who has hammer. I don't know the exact measurements. I wasn't able to watch the stones, but the team Edin has the hammer, so their last shot draw was apparently closest to the centre. This is the final game in a long weekend. Eden's team have played 7 games and Van Dorp's team have played 6. So stamina is really coming into play here. All of these guys are very fit. But it's the last game of a long weekend for everyone. So let's hope that both these teams can keep the momentum going. Van Dorp's team are the only undefeated team so far in the competition. They finished top of their group in the round robin without a loss. So that qualified them directly for their semi-final, which they won this morning. They were playing the German team of Muskatewitz. So a very close game, went to the last stone. Edin's team, they had a loss in their very first game to the young Klossner team from Switzerland, but have been running on full beans ever since. They played Peter de Cruz in the other semi-final. That was our featured game this morning. Again, going right to the last shot. And Team Sweden coming out winners there.
Okay, close for line. Yep.
So that's how we got here. So it's always exciting to see a new team playing one of these big games.
Hard line.
Now there's not much Team Edin hasn't done, so they are the reigning world and European champions. That was their 4th world championship and the 7th European championship. But I don't think the Van Dorp team will be intimidated actually. They've been working pretty hard for the past 2 or 3 seasons. I think they will relish the chance to play the Edin rink. They've certainly played them over the years, so I don't think they'll be intimidated by that vast pedigree. They'll be looking forward to this game. So Michaela, to answer your question, yes, this time they did do the last shot draw just before this game. In the previous rounds, you do your last shot draw in the previous round, and that carries forward until your next match. So if you're just joining us, welcome to the final of the Baden Masters 2020. We have highly decorated and well-established team Edin from Sweden are up against the new kids in town, Team Van Dorp from the Netherlands. So definitely the 2 strongest teams this weekend. Van Dorp's team undefeated so far, and Edin team had a surprise loss on their first game, but have been winning ever since. So looking forward to a strong final here between our 2 top teams.
Lite utanför det spåret du hade nyss i början och så kanske på slutet, men det borde ändå vara okej fart. Ja.
Sweden does have last shot in this first end, so their last shot draw was the better.
Bra linje. Ja. Curla rejält tidigt. Ja. Järnet.
And the aggressive game's really been working for Van Dorp's team. Their ends and games typically have a lot of stones in play, which is what we like to see. It looks like they've started as they mean to go on. That keeping stones in play, keeping it aggressive. You can see they're lying one at the moment, Netherlands, in this first end.
Jämfört med det så var det ju lite is, men din tap curlade inte så mycket.
Oké, we hebben al flink wat meer dan bij Laurens. Waar we hem verlengd hebben. 4-0 voor mij. Oké, top. Ja, gewoon buiten 4. Ja.
We see that much more in the game these days. There's many more stones in play. It's a more of a aggressive game being called these days, and that's what we like to see. That's more interesting for everyone, I think, to see all these stones in play rather than hitting all the stones out every time. So they had to wait for that stone to curl a little bit. They couldn't sweep it all the way. So that's a decent effort from Jaap van Dorp.
60. Ja. En del curla här då. Ja.
3-8. Oké. Ja, dat is oké. Ja. Maar je ziet dat zelfs terwijl je er iets op zat, speelt het nog heel hard. Want je zat echt vol op die corner.
Sweden with last stone don't want to get into a muddle in this first end, so that red onto yellow should go nicely. So they remove one of the yellow counters and get a nice roll there.
Gaat een korte run toch? Ja, ik zie ook wel een kwart aan de buitenkant.
Netherlands could play a similar idea, so the yellow in the front ring, play that back. Here we are, nice different look at the angle there, so nice shot from Oscar Eriksson.
Hij ligt wel achter de T-lijn. Ja, hij freest hem. Oké, gewoon weer normaal.
Could play a similar idea, yellow onto red there, as we can see it. It looks like that's what they're doing.
Kijk hoor, ik denk nog iets meer. Oké. Jouw ging ook best wel hard, ja.
The other idea would be to try to limit Sweden to only scoring one.
Yep.
But I think this is the wise call here in this first end, as everybody's just finding their rhythm. So it is Netherlands we're watching for this shot. It was Oscar Eriksson before. So good shot there from Jaap van Dorp. Cleans out the danger of that Swedish stone. Sweden have last shot in this first end. Sweden throwing red. So Netherlands quite happy to keep their counter in there. Try not to give Sweden a chance to start building stones. We've got a few people having a chat in the accompanying chat window, so by all means, feel welcome to join in. If you have a question or a comment or just to say hi to everyone else who's watching. Gentler weight this time from Oscar Eriksson. He wants that red to hang around. Looks like he's got a very nice roll. So that's exactly what Netherlands didn't want to happen. That Sweden can get a roll in behind cover. You will see it from another angle. Really nice hit and roll. So that controlled weight so that they can better control the line of the stone. And then you can see they're rewarded with a really nice roll behind cover. Sweden trying to give themselves an opportunity to score 2 here while they have last stone. Meanwhile, Netherlands are going to try to outdraw that red, so they're going to try to draw behind those 2 guards as well, the red and the yellow guard that we see, and they're going to Just try to beat that red and cancel it out. So this is our first look at Netherlands' fourth player, Victor Goskens. This Netherlands lineup have experimented a little bit with different skips and different people throwing third and fourth, but they seem to have settled on this lineup as being their most efficient. So he's certainly got plenty of line, but I think that might be running on a little bit. Oh, he's pretty close, but that's not going to outcount that red. So Sweden definitely have an opportunity here to score more than one, although Netherlands has one shot still to come. So that's exactly the right idea, to split the house, to draw in behind the other corner guard that we can see there. Aim to be lying 2 Swedish counters at the end of the shot.
Då ska du, ligger vi här, det ska ju riktigt mycket till att han vickar in. Han är ju riktigt säker på dragningar så.
Indeed, the other option is just to remove that yellow. I think that red is pretty safe, so they could just remove that yellow.
Gillar ni att tappa ut den eller bara göra någon dragning, cornern eller frys eller något? Det vad du känner för. Instinktivt gillar jag att dra mer däråt än hitåt bara för att få han att byta spår också.
So you can see that it's Van Dorp on the right of the 2 Netherlands players there with the orange uniforms, the orange jackets. It's Van Dorp that is the skip of this team. And it's Victor Goskens who is the 4th thrower. So you see that a lot more these days. Historically, it was always the 4th player who will also skip. But those 2 skills can be different. You want your 4th player to be very cool under pressure, to hold their nerve for these last stones, because there's no stones coming after you, so you need to get it right more or less first time. So that's not necessarily the same person who's the most skilled at the strategy and calling the game. But Edin, he does do both of those jobs for his team, so he throws 4th and he is the skip. And now it sounds like the decision was to just remove that yellow and get a roll towards the centre. Nice controlled rate. That's exactly what he said. So top marks for Edin. So 2 stones still to come, 1 each for Netherlands and for Sweden. Yeah, we see this division of labour a lot more these days in the men's and in the ladies' game. So our earlier game, we've watched a couple of games of the Peter de Cruz team in this competition. And Peter de Cruz, he throws 2nd stones and skips. So we see that a bit more often these days. There's no rule that says it has to be the 4th player who's also skip. So this should be a straightforward shot for Victor Goskens, but he also needs to think about where he wants this shooter to go. He doesn't want to give Sweden an easy shot for 2.
In! Yep!
Clean!
Clean! Clean!
So no trouble removing the red.
Okay, mooi stay uit.
Ja, sorry, maar...
That yellow certainly does hang around, but Edin can see all of it, so this should be a straightforward hit and stick for 2 for Edin. You play that controlled rate again. Give the stone a chance to curl and make sure your shooter hangs around.
Det var en bra sättning, det var inget speciellt. Ja, jag tyckte jag var ganska positiv i den. Ja. Ja, något liknande.
Hij pakte 2 keer ook. En zelf pakte hij ook al rood. Ja, hij heeft 3 keer rood.
Ja, maar ja, het speelde rood. Ja,
Ja, 1 keer tegen Hess was schil, toch?
Han spelar väl inte lösare i alla fall, men höga 10.
Nog even goals.
So last stone of this first end. Sweden have given themselves a good chance to make 2.
Ja. Håll igång eller? Hur farten grippa?
Sweepers keeping the stone company all the way up, just making sure it's always clean. Not needed to sweep for line for sure. There it's just curling right on top of that yellow. Is it going to roll out? They'll be annoyed if it does. It has rolled out, so that's a mistake early on there from Sweden. A bit of a let off for Netherlands. Sweden will be annoyed about that. That was a quite straightforward opportunity for 2. You can see it just needed to curl a little bit more and get more to the face of that yellow, not catch it at an angle and roll out. So a bit of a let off for Netherlands there. They'll be relieved that Sweden only scored 1, and Sweden will be a bit disappointed that they didn't take that opportunity. We've certainly seen Niklas Edin make some seriously difficult shots to pick up points, so he'll be annoyed that he didn't quite get that straightforward shot from his perspective. So while they're starting off the second end, Michaela was wondering about the third-fourth game, so that would be between Cruz and the German team, so Muskatewitz or Totzig. So they're not actually playing Michaela. It's, as we said, it's a busy weekend, it's a long schedule, and I think both teams just felt that that would be a game too far. They weren't really interested in playing it, so they agreed amongst themselves to not play that game after all and head off home instead, I think. So it's the weather's not very nice here, and it's a long drive back to Geneva and to Germany. So this is the only game on the ice at the moment, so we can give our full attention to that. You say hi to Adi Helbling again from Club Etsikon, who was up early this morning watching the semi-finals with us.
Lijn is ietsje krap. 2! Oké, lijn is oké, alleen lengte jongens. 2!
Ja,
mooi door.
Bijna 3.
Oké, hier is je
We have
kans.
another question from Kjell, who asks when is the next scheduled stream after Baden, so that gives me a great opportunity to mention the World Curling Tour. So this is the first of, in the men's schedule at least, the first competition of the World Curling Tour for season 2021. As you can imagine, there are quite a few tournaments a little bit up in the air and or cancelled because of the health and safety situation because of COVID. So several of them are already cancelled, and I think basically all competitions are just trying to stay flexible. But the next competition for the men's, at least in the World Curling Tour schedule, is next weekend. But that's in Canada. The next one from Europe is the Baden International. So that's in 2 weeks' time. September the 10th to September the 13th, and we're definitely streaming from there.
Buiten 4, top 8.
Oké, lijn is oké.
If you want to check out the schedule yourself,
Yep.
that will be
lijn is goed. Alleen lengte.
kept up to date in
Alleen
this
lengte jongens. Top 8.
constantly changing situation. You can find that website yourself. You can look at worldcurlingtour.org, and you will find the schedule for the men's and the ladies and the mixed doubles, plus details of if you wanted to enter a team in any of these World Curling Tour events.
We hadden 4-3 en 4-1, toch? Ja.
So yeah, a bit of a fluid situation this season. This competition did go ahead, obviously, but we also had a couple of hiccups due to COVID. A couple of sneezes, perhaps, would be the more appropriate word. So we had several teams who were planning to travel from Scotland and from Norway, who didn't make it after all. They'd entered the competition, they were ready to come, but health regulations and government guidance has to take priority. So we can say a quick hello to those teams that wanted to be here but finally couldn't travel. So that's Team Bryce from Scotland. Team Mallet from Scotland, Team Patterson from Scotland, Team Ramsfeld from Norway, Team Ulsrud from Norway, Team Valstad from Norway, and Team White from Scotland. So you can see fully 7 teams, 4 Scottish teams and 3 Norwegian teams wanted to be here. They're strong supporters of this competition, but finally were not able to travel. And their problem, actually, it's the problem for them is the environment in Switzerland, actually. So the governments in both Scotland and in Norway have said that the rate of cases of COVID in Switzerland is a little bit too high from their perspective. So if people travel to Switzerland in that direction, it's okay. But when they would come home again, they would all have to self-quarantine for 2 weeks to make sure that they didn't have a COVID infection. And obviously that's impractical. So finally, those teams unfortunately were not able to travel. So we're missing our Norwegian and Scottish friends this weekend. Hopefully things will be much more back to normal, at least next year, if not later on this season. So I can't speak too much for the Canadian schedule, obviously. I don't know so much about that, but certainly here in Europe, the next stream will be from Adelboden in 2 weeks' time. So I think a lot of the teams here are intending to play there. Certainly Van Dorp's team, they're actually staying in Switzerland for the next couple of weeks, so we'll see them again in Adelboden. And several of the big teams here are also intending to play there. So not quite back to normal, but plenty of curling for us curling fans to enjoy over the next weeks. Getting back to our featured game here. This is the final of the Baden Masters 2020. We're watching Team Edin playing red stones from Sweden against Team Van Dorp from Netherlands playing yellow stones. Get a nice look at second thrower Laurence Hoekman for Netherlands. So Sweden picked up 1 in the first end. They would be a bit annoyed with themselves. It was, from their perspective, relatively straightforward shot for 2. So they just picked up 1, and now Hammer is with the Van Dorp team, who are playing yellow. So a couple of yellow counters in there. Sweden won't like that. They'll be keen to start removing those yellows. They don't want Netherlands to get the opportunity to build an end here to score more than 1 point. So Michaela in the chat asks if COVID-19 testing was done for all the players. So your quick answer is no, Michaela. Here in Switzerland, we haven't had so much compulsory testing, to my understanding. In some way, it's a very Swiss approach to the issue, which says, you know, that if you're sick, if you have symptoms of COVID, then we expect you to do the responsible thing and stay home. So I think we have been relying on people to self-police. So it's, as we said, it's still a very difficult situation. I know there are reports now of people who are carrying COVID virus but don't have symptoms. So we're always learning, we're always trying to understand better. Nice shot there from Oscar Eriksson. So now Sweden line 2. One of them very safely tucked behind those corner guards. So Netherlands have to do something about at least one of those counters if they want to start building shots for themselves. To help the teams this weekend in terms of staying healthy and staying safe, we've had a strict separation policy, so the athletes have the ice hall and the locker rooms downstairs, and all the rest of us, we are staying upstairs here in the club area, because we really appreciate all the curlers travelling here from Switzerland and from abroad. So we really appreciate all of these guys putting faith in the competition and to try to keep the risk as low as possible. We have been all separated, so not as friendly as, or not as social as a normal curling competition, which is typically a really nice, friendly sort of atmosphere. So no handshakes before the game, no handshakes after. I think we're doing fist bumps by the look of it. So again, just to try to keep that risk low. And typically, even at this level, the teams would sit together and have a drink afterwards, after a game. So that's not happening either. Again, just to protect the health of all the players in particular, because we really appreciate them making the effort to be here. So that looks like a nice enough throw from Oscar Eriksson. What Sweden is interested in this end, they don't want to give the Netherlands a chance to start building yellow shots in the house there. So as long as they keep piling the reds in, then Netherlands has to do something about those shots before they can really start building. But this is a courageous idea. So they're proposing to go round the back of everything and land a stone in the 8 foot. So I think this is the second throw for third player and skip Jaap van Dorp.
Close line. Alleen lengte. Je hebt lijn als je kan.
So this is a nice aggressive call.
Yep.
We like to see that.
Moet heel hard gaan.
It could be that they're thinking that someone is going to score this end anyway, because we can see there's plenty of counters in the front rings and a couple of guards out front. So may as well try to take the game to the Swedes. So looked like I had a nice line, but didn't quite have enough gas. Maybe the stones are getting a bit tired after 7 or 8 games as well.
Ja, ik gooi hem ook niet heel positief.
Rundar vi eller? Ja, jag tror det.
Definitely to one of the points in the chat from Curling Nord, I'm sure our players are getting tired. It's a very busy schedule, so as I said, Edin's team played 7 games to get here and Van Dorp's team played 6. So Van Dorp's team, a little bit of an advantage just having that 1 game less. They just happened to be drawn in the group with 6 teams rather than Edin's group, which had 7. So I'm sure they'll be glad that they didn't have that extra game. But nevertheless, yeah, plenty of games in those legs for all of the players out there. So they're used to it. You know, this is a typical World Curling Tour event, but that doesn't mean it's not hard. They may not have been able to have much curling preparation, any of the teams here, including these 2. But I'm sure all of the guys will have been keeping themselves fit. Doing some exercises in the garden as all the gyms were closed. So that looks nice from Niklas Edin. He's trying to take away the shot where Netherlands could drive that yellow that they just threw, which is in the front rings. They could drive that back and potentially spring out both of those reds. So Niklas Edin just taking away that possibility. Looks like the call here is the same as before, so go around the back of everything and try and land a stone in the 8 foot or the 4 foot. Oh, thank you, Daniel Hosley, for your contribution to the chat. He says, let's go Vikings, so he seems to be cheering for Team Edin today. So first shot here from Netherlands' fourth thrower, Victor Gooskens.
Okay, kom maar. Lijn is oké. Ietsje wijd nog. Carlo.
He's been making some really nice clutch throws for his team all weekend.
Hard, allebei. Helemaal door. Yep. Hard boys, zo ver mogelijk. Helemaal door.
I think this needs a bit of help for line and weight.
Hard. Yep. Ah, okay.
So yeah, it's not quite where they wanted, but it's not a bad result.
Nära för att den ska ge någonting här. Ja.
So we're in the second end here in the final of the Baden Masters. We're watching Team Edin from Sweden play Team Van Dorp from Netherlands. It's 1-0 to Edin. Sweden picked up a 1 in the first end, and Netherlands have hammer. So this is the last stone now for this end for Sweden. They will want to remove that Netherlands counter and force Netherlands to draw for 1. So Kent, yes, there sure is a lot of granite out there. There's going to be 1 less in a minute.
Voor de zekerheid gewoon dwarshot paadje.
Ja, is goed.
So Vutter has a second chance at that shot. In fact, if he plays exactly the same shot, that will be enough. So no chance for Netherlands to make 2 points here. So they accept that, yeah, there's no chance for making 2, so let's just make sure and draw for 1. So I think they're taking even a little bit more ice than last time. They don't need to go near those guards anymore. Oh no!
Hij is goed. Kult iets minder nog. Make sure jongens, 8 voet. Yep, hard. Hard, zo ver mogelijk jongens. Lijn maakt niet uit, kom maar door. Hard, moet vol 8 voet. Yep, hard. Kom op, door. Oké, 2.
So we're back again. We just had a bit of a technical gremlin there. So I think not only are some of the stones tired, I think our technology here is getting a bit tired after its busy weekend as well.
Ja, deze kilde niet meer. Dit is qua drawshot paadje. Ja, klopt.
Dan naar de achter.
Gewoon stenen van. Gooi gewoon te zacht.
Ja, inderdaad. Gewoon een paar gemist.
So, in fact, during that little technical emergency, you will have seen that Vutter Gooskens didn't make that draw for 1. So I think definitely some tired stones coming, which is not surprising. So the Swedes missed their opportunity for a relatively straightforward shot in the first end to score 2. And again, for these guys at this level, that was a pretty easy shot for Vutter, and maybe just starting to suffer a bit with the energy levels.
Utan den där kanske man bak 4. Utan den här lilla greppningen där.
So if you're just joining us, I'm the commentator. My name is Lorna Rettig. Eve Muirhead is not the only Scottish lady who knows about curling. I'm from English curling. I learned in Scotland, that's where my accent's from, and I live here in Switzerland.
Okej, mooi steen, Carlo.
Ja. 12-8 där någonstans. Vad tar vi på den här då? Så. Lite in, en decim innan bara.
So that's a pity that for this game, I mean, it's a bit of a pity that Netherlands missed that last shot there, because that's quite a big difference in the score now between 3-0 and 1 each. And against a team of Edin's quality, being 3 down, you give yourself a bit of a mountain to climb. So they've got 6 ends left to do it. It's certainly possible. But against a team like Edin, that could be a very costly mistake.
Soft. 2.
Oké. Lijn is iets wijd nog, maar kom maar.
Ja, 1-2.
Ja, kom maar.
2.
Lijn komt wel goed. Helemaal door.
Misschien net 3.
Oké, Wout als je kan, maar voor lengte is belangrijker.
Oh ja, dat is een beetje laat.
Netherlands have no choice really now. They are going to have to stick to the aggressive game. Here's another nice example of the 5 rock free guard zone. So until a couple of years ago, we played 4 rock free guard zone. So you can count 1, 2, 3, 4 rocks already in play. And typically, Edin's team would then start removing those corner guards. They are not allowed to do that anymore. We've got 5 rock free guard zone. And this is still rock number 5, so not allowed to remove those yellows from play yet. So a nice alternative there from second player Rasmus Brandner. This is only our second season of playing this 5 rock free guard zone rule. So team's still working out the best tactics to play there, but I think it's definitely helped keep stones in play. That was the idea. We definitely see fewer blank ends, although we still see them occasionally. But yeah, the idea was to try to keep stones in play.
Als je die voor een extra corner hebt, Chip, dan heb je er 3. Dat is oké.
Ja, dat denk ik ook.
And it's a compliment to teams like Edin and the big hitting Scottish teams. That's why we needed a 5 rock free guard zone instead of 4.
No, nee, Carlo.
So these big hitting teams, they became so adept at removing the guards after the 4th stone. This is like a nice throw from second player Lawrence Hookman. So he's moved one of those reds off the centre, and he's got a winger hanging on there. I have an idea Sweden can see quite a lot of that stone. Yeah, looks like Edin's going straight to remove it. But it's thanks to teams like Edin and the big hitters out there. They were getting so skilled at removing 2 or more stones in the free guard zone that it was becoming too easy for them after 4 stones to start hitting. So we had to make it a little bit more complicated again to try to keep stones in play. If you're familiar with the mixed doubles format of curling, that was a lot of the thinking behind that as well, was to keep stones in play, have some nice aggressive ends with different angles and so on. So in mixed doubles curling, you start with 2 stones in play, so 1 stone's a guard and 1 stone is behind the tee line. And there are also restrictions on when you can start removing stones out of play, not only in the free guard zone, but also in the house. So we're always trying to think of ways to make the game more interesting. Keep stones in play, keep it more aggressive. So the game's certainly becoming more aggressive. The teams are having to adapt to these new rules. And I think overall it's good for us curling fans. It gives us more interesting ends to watch.
Close. Yep. Yep. 11,5. Yep. Hard. Yep. 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 Hard. Yep. Vol hem woud. Yep. 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 Okay.
So Joshua in the chat asks, was there talk of making it a 6-rock free guard zone, or did I imagine that? I haven't heard that, Joshua. That doesn't mean it's not true, of course. I guess it's always sensible to future-proof, so to say. I don't think it's needed just now, at least from my perspective. I think the 5-rock free guard zone seems to be working out nicely for now. It's having the desired effect of keeping stones in play, keeping the game more aggressive. But yeah, if anyone knows anything about discussions around a 6-rock free guard zone, we'd be interested to hear anything about that. And yeah, I would agree that I would like to see the Van Dorp rink score maybe a 2 in this end for the sake of having a good game. It would be a shame for everyone if this game starts getting away from them. But I think the Swedes wouldn't mind at all if this game gets away from the Netherlands, so they're quite happy to keep persisting. That's a really accurate shot there through not such a big gap from Oskar Eriksson. Netherlands having a good look at this situation. They're going to have to score this end. It doesn't look like it can be a blank end. But they don't really want to score only 1 and then give up the hammer back to Sweden. They want to make the most of having that last shot. But if they want to score anything, they need to do something about that red counter that's just touching the 4-foot.
Clean.
So first stone from third thrower and skip Jaap van Dorp.
Close.
He's trying to do the same kind of thing as Oskar Eriksson.
Yep. Yep.
Curl it through that gap. Trying to get a little roll to the centre there. He certainly got something of a roll. Sweden can certainly get to that stone. So they'll be, I think, yes, having to come at it the counterclockwise handle. I've really tried to teach myself to use the words clockwise and counterclockwise rather than in-turn and out-turn. Especially since for this particular shot we're talking about Oskar Eriksson, who's left-handed, so his in-turn and out-turn are the opposite to right-handers, obviously.
Men det är inget stjälarläge tror jag oavsett. Det kommer inte vara, kanske bite 4 i bästa fall. Känns den minsta lurig då gillar jag mer fart. 3-0 ändå. Ja. Och kör där. Kör en 8. Ja.
So similar idea, opposite handle. That's got plenty of gas in it. And yep, he's got it through that nice gap again.
Ja, zeker.
So now Netherlands has a bit of a half opportunity to get a shot in there. And try to give himself a chance to pick up 2 points here. They could remove that red, but the angle they would be coming at, they are likely to roll out themselves, or at least they would be open. So this is the right call. They want to try to get a shot in safely behind cover.
Okay, bijt 4.
They need to start taking a couple of risks now, Netherlands, because they need to get these 3 points back.
Line. Je zit vol op de center. Carlo.
Now they're sweeping to try to encourage it to curl. I don't think it's going to get round that red guard, though. Not. So I think that was just a little bit shy for weight as well, which was causing it to... No, it wasn't. It was under curling actually, but yeah, it looked a little bit shy for weight maybe. So Joshua, no, there is not a thinking time in this competition. You do see that the games are timed at world level and at say international competitions, so the Europeans or Asia Pacifics. Typically there you would have timed games, but it's quite a lot of resource you need to time games at this sort of a competition. So if you joined us this morning, well, it was threatening to bleed into this afternoon, so there was a huge amount of jibber-jabber, taking almost 3 hours for an 8-end game, which was really going some. But again, I mustn't be rude. We want to see stones in play. We like this new 5 rock free guard zone rule. And having more stones in play will typically result in more discussion. So first shot from Swedish 4th and skip, Niklas Edin. I think he's probably trying to put another red in, yet behind that centre guard. Again, to put pressure on Netherlands, try to prevent them scoring more than 1. But he's overdone this one though. That's a unusual mistake from Edin, so that gives Netherlands a chance to try that shot again that they wanted to with the previous stone. So try to get one in behind that double yellow guard. It's these half shots and small mistakes that the Netherlands need to capitalise on. You're not going to get too many mistakes out of the Edin rink. So first shot for Netherlands 4th thrower Peter Goskens.
Close. Yep, line. Yep. Hard line. Hard line, jongens. Yep.
It looks like he doesn't like it.
Yep. Hard. Je hebt hem nog. Yep.
I'm not sure if he maybe released it tight, it looks like.
Yep.
I was going to say, or maybe it picked up, but I don't think it's picked up. I think he just released it tight and then it was off and curling right out of hand, so no chance to get around those guards. They need to be careful here, Netherlands. They do have last shot, but they have got to score in this end. There are 3 Swedish counters hanging around the outside rings. So whatever Edin does here, Netherlands are going to have quite a tricky last shot.
Hade vi Krippas kalla över direkt. Jag tror, ja, det där ska vara lugnt för centergarden. Det är frågan om den hänger kvar som den gjorde I någon match sen.
I think it is tough to play Team Edin. A couple of folks in the chat saying that must be a lot of pressure going out against the 4-time world champion, 7-time European champion, reigning world and European champion. Definitely there's a lot of pressure. I don't think the Van Dorp team will feel too intimidated. As I said, they've been working really hard the past 2 or 3 years and really building a name and getting some successes under their belts.
Ja, kanske inte. Jag vill i alla fall spela mindre än förra.
But yeah, they've certainly earned their reputation, Team Edin. If that's worth a half point on the board, then yeah, they've certainly earned it.
Bra linje! Bra linje! Kör då! Bra linje! Ja! Curla nu! Kan curla. Curla. Dra den så bra som möjligt. Harry! Kom igen!
That's another lovely shot from Edin, so no mistake this time.
Ja, denkt ook. Van Dorp dit
That's exactly where he wanted to put it, because he doesn't want to
hier.
make it such that Netherlands could just follow that in, so they're quite happy that drops in the 8 foot.
Nee, ik gaf geen ijs aan.
Oh, okay. Ik denk dit best close is.
So how does Netherlands find a way in here?
Dit, ja, kan je hebben, maar... Okay.
Voeter's drawing against 4, so good courage, Voeter.
Nou, hetzelfde. Is het goed of zou je bezig op midden nemen?
For the sake of a good game here, I'm sure everybody is crossing their fingers for Voeter here to make a nice draw. There's definitely a path in there. He needs to put all the guards, all that granite in front. He needs to put that out of his mind. It's still just a draw. So come on,
Okay, hold on.
Nice shot here.
Clean. Close voor lijn.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, lijn.
Je bent er langs. Alleen lengte. Oké. Oh.
He's not bad. Is it going to hang on though?
Okay, 2.
Ik zo, ja. 2.
I think that's 2 red to Sweden then, so great effort from Voeter. Facing all those stones is never easy. So it just ran on a metre too long, or he'd have had it.
Okay.
But yeah, facing a lot of pressure at the moment with his last shots is Voeter Goosgens. The Swedes are really just bossing the game at the moment. So after 3 ends then, another steal of 2 for Sweden. So they are now 5-0 after 3 ends against Van Dorp from Netherlands.
Tot nu toe nog niet helemaal goed. Ja, maar goed, een klein beetje. Dus gewoon agressief. Even 2 terugpakken.
So don't let your heads go down, Netherlands. Plenty of ends left.
Bra linje. Känns bra. 10. Lång lite långa. Topp 4. Där kallar han till igen alltså. Nu var det bara farten tappade va? Nej, det var linje också. Okej.
I agree with you, Rob, in the chat, that it's nice to see a team from Netherlands. It's always fun to watch a new team emerging. Not that we don't like to watch Edin's team, we surely do. But it's great to see this up-and-coming team really performing at this level. So really hope they can dig in here and get a couple of points back and start chipping away.
2-3.
Oké, alleen lengte jongens.
2.
Lijn is goed. Alleen lengte.
2.
Easy, alleen lengte. Kult niet veel.
2-3.
Oh.
3.
Oh, zit erbij.
They're doing the right thing. The only thing they can do is stick to
Kijk
that
Carlo, mooi steen.
aggressive game, put up some guards.
Perfect. Top 12. Wat is er mis mee? Kom op man, ik doe mijn best. Ja, je zit... Ja, maar het gezicht is lauw een zucht. Jij, kom op man, ik doe ook mijn best.
They've been playing well all weekend though, the Van Dorp team. Like we said, they're the only team undefeated so far. So they need to channel that inner winninginess and get some of it out into their stones here. Sweden are not going to give them many chances though. So 2 lovely first stones from the Swedish lead, Christopher Sundgren.
Harder.
Oké, hold on. Kult wel meer.
Hij zit wel.
Oké, Wouter clean. Je hoeft niet hoor. Gewoon hier. Alleen lengte.
So identical start in this fourth end that we had in the third end. And again, now that we're in the 5 rock free guard zone territory, Edin team can't just start ripping those guards off. So the role of the second player is switched up a bit, particularly at this level, with this introduction of the 5 rock free guard zone. So historically, at least for the last 25 years, your second player in this type of situation, after 4 stones were thrown, you would start removing those guards. You don't want to give Netherlands any stones to hide behind. But now we're in 5 rock free guard land. You have to come up with something else. So second players will typically still be comfortable with the big hits, because on their second shot they can certainly start hitting. But that 5th shot, that maybe has a different impact now. Hopefully the 5 rock free guard zone can help the Van Dorp team by keeping stones in play. You have to take a bit of a deep breath, putting up 2 corner guards, and accept that you're going to be looking at 3 opposition counters in the centre. But this is the only way to do it, so they need to just keep plugging away, not let their heads go down.
Okay.
So they still have 2 corner guards there, but again the Swedish counters are building up a bit. We need to weather this storm, steady the ship a bit, and find a way back into this game. Joshua, yes, the answer to your question of can you knock out stones in the house during the 5 rock period, yes you can. You can also knock out your own stones from the free guard zone if you wish to, or if that happens by accident. It's your opposition stones that you are not allowed to move out of play while they're protected by free guard zone.
Gewoon zelf lengte, 11.
Netherlands proposing to remove a couple of these Swedish counters and get a roll next to the other red stone to try and protect their yellow a bit.
Top, 11.
No, I don't think Edin has anything against his uniform. It's just a bit cold out there, as I understand. Like I said, we're maintaining separation between the athletes and everyone else, so I haven't been to the ice hall, but apparently it's about 5 degrees Celsius, which is 41 degrees Fahrenheit for our metrically challenged friends. So that's pretty much what the Netherlands wanted. It's just pretty much every shot for the Netherlands is going to be a tough shot from here on in.
Den är gans... För att ta den via den så är det väl helt okej. Då kan du ta en tjock halv liksom. Ja. Det är bara lämna de 2. Ska den gå clean så är det nästan att man får sticka på den med en fjärdedel. Ja. Den gillar vi ganska nära varandra.
Kel, I'm not sure if it's 6 ends minimum. Certainly during the round robin stages, there was no minimum requirement. For a final, there could be. I'll try to find that out.
Som ligger nu så har de, alltså även om de vickar in där så är det nästan en gimme dubbel här.
Eigenlijk die witte rollen of zo.
Det känns som när vi... Ja, jag gillar den. Dra lite fart, 2/3.
This is now classic tactics we're seeing from the Edin team. They've got some counters there in the house. The only stones that can really hurt them are the corner guards, so screamer from Oskar Eriksson. Oh, that's what he's up to. He wanted to go for the double, which he's got very nicely. There we can see the distance that the shot had to roll across to catch that yellow shot, which he does beautifully. So getting a bit junky in the front rings there as well with all those red stones, but if there are red stones, then Netherlands can use them. They can nudge up against the red stones or hide in behind them. So the toughest thing here is probably not the Netherlands' playing capability. I don't think that's in doubt because they've battled their way to this final. I think it's really in their heads now. They mustn't let this storm of all these shots from Team Edin, they mustn't let that get to them and get in their heads. They just have to keep plugging away. Shot by shot. Just like this, that's just what they said. They didn't quite get the roll, so they need to not be disappointed with these half misses. Just keep plugging away. They're calling the right shots.
Frågan, det vi får vara försiktig med är väl att vicka så att man rullar ända ner hit så att den trippeln finns så. Ja, men ja. Rullar vi lite kort, då finns ju den dubbeln på sitta där. Nu har du en ganska kort bara chapp i alla fall. Ja. Ja, försöka rulla ditåt. Ja, rulla kant där.
What Sweden are discussing here, they're clearly wanting to remove that yellow. That's not in question. What they're discussing is where they want their red stone to roll afterwards. They may be quite happy if this red rolls out completely, because Netherlands are going to have to rely a little bit on working with the stones in the house. And that red hangs around.
Ja, han kan inte trycka ut den i alla fall. Det är tufft ut för honom.
I fancy Netherlands going for the hit and roll again here, so same idea like last time. Controlled weight. They want this yellow to roll just to Wouter's right, hopefully in behind a couple of those reds.
Whoa. Andere kant.
Or roll the other way. It's not bad for plan B. But I think that's still visible, or easily made with the raised takeout, driving that red onto yellow, yeah. I'm not sure if there's a minimum number of ends that should be played for the finals. If there is, it would be a minimum of 6 ends. So certainly I've seen some games close out through the round robin a bit sooner than that, if the game was just getting away from teams.
Reden waarom niet, als je weet het gewoon.
Nee, ja, ik weet de hele tijd dat ik een wiel gooi.
Vicka på toppstenen alla. Ja! Ja!
Okay.
Ja, ik denk dat dit nog steeds beter kan.
Still chances for Netherlands in this end.
Ja, maar...
Dat we hem laten gooien, zeg maar.
No guards out front. Well, there's that one corner guard quite far on the wing. But they can certainly work with these stones in the house.
Ja, ik denk het ook. 2, 10.
Ja. Blijft misschien iets tracken, maar als je even hebt, blijf je de andere kant op.
Looks like they're trying again something similar, so that controlled rate takeout. Yeah, just what Van Dorp's indicating. They would love to get a roll just about a couple of meters in behind those stones on the wing there. Give themselves a chance at scoring here. First shot coming now from Wouter Gusgens, the fourth thrower for Netherlands. He's had a lot of difficult shots already, so come on, Wouter. We know you've got good shots.
Andere kant.
Okay, yep.
So not too big, nice controlled weight. They need this yellow to hang around.
Yep.
Oh! Nee! Oh!
I think they maybe got the sweeping a little bit wrong with that. That's more of a roll than they were expecting. So straightforward takeout for the Swedes here. But Netherlands will have plenty of space to try to make 1 point.
Gewoon dwars op paasje. Ik weet wat ik nodig heb. Oriënter alle. Ligger på kjapp just nu. Orient, det är kjapp.
No trouble for Niklas Edin. So no quadruple takeout in the offing for Netherlands, I don't think. So they're wisely just going to draw. So let's steady the ship here, Wouter.
Gewoon zelf als een draw shot. En dan ligt hij op de bib.
Deep breath, he's been doing this all weekend. So a nice draw to fully 8 foot, fully in the white circles, just enough to beat that red counter.
Top. Deze voor ons, top 4.
En tuff quadrupel måste man ju säga.
Ja, det var lite närmare.
Oké, leenlengte, blijf nog recht. Blijf nu nog recht, jongens. Oh. Easy. Ja. Clean hem. Als je kan. Hij kult nu wel.
Clean is always a nice thing to hear. That means typically the weight looks good.
Lekker Wout.
And it does. Good for you, Wouter. Right in the poppy. So nice round of applause here. So hopefully that steadied the ship a little bit.
Oké, boys. Ja, in ieder geval beter, toch?
And well done, Wouter Gusgens. That's never nice drawing against a pile of stones like that. We always say it, that when you're practicing and getting a stone in the 8 foot or even the 4 foot, we can do that all day, but when you're drawing against a bunch of Swedish counters, that's not easy at all. So well done, Wouter Gusgens, steadying the ship, getting a point on the board for Netherlands. So after 4 ends, we're at the halfway point in this final of the Baden Masters 2020, and the score is 5-1 to Team Edin from Sweden.
Ja.
Top.
Het wordt nu wel
Netherlands will
rechter.
stick to the aggressive calls here, though.
Dit kan je hebben.
They need their lead player, Carlo Glasbergen. He's going to be throwing guard after guard for the next 4 ends. So they can still manage to grind this game out.
Hoge 3, jongens.
They've weathered the storm a little bit.
Wel 3.
Sweden were really bossing the first half of this game, but hopefully that point on the board has steadied the nerves a little bit.
Kom maar door, yep.
So 5 steals in a row would do it.
Maar dit is een goede hoogte. Het is gewoon goed. Jo.
Ja. Känns rätt bra. Linjen är bra. Hänger lite om något. Ja, känns lite vid. 4.
Top.
Den går rak.
Kommer ner nu.
Okay,
bra fart.
Bara stanna tror jag. Bara stanna tror jag. Den ser lite långt.
Halva 4.
It's definitely quite a mental battle when you're up against a strong team like this and you're not quite finding your best shots. You need to really focus on stone by stone. Not let these spectacular shots that the Edin team are so famous for, not let them get in your head. Shot by shot, stone by stone.
1-2. Okay, hold on. Over is okay.
This team's been winning all weekend, so they certainly do have good shots.
Okay.
There are some big names that they've knocked out as well.
Yep.
Niet te ver, toch?
Nee, is goed.
Ja, we kunnen nu niet echt de center, zeg maar.
Voor Lotta.
Want de dolly is al nog steeds open. Ja, klopt.
So the 2 guards right on the center line.
Linjen ser bra ut.
Good stones, Carlo Glasbergen. That's exactly what Netherlands need. No reason why they can't steal a point in this end. Start chipping away at that deficit.
Perfekt linje för frysen.
Jag vill inte gå någon mer nu.
Perfekt linje. Limma dit.
Precis emot.
Limma dit den. Fint.
They topped a tough group, the Van Dorp team. So in their group at this Baden Masters, you had Retornaz, the Italian team, who have won bronze medal at the Europeans, and you had European silver medalists Yannick Schwaller's team, and they beat both of those teams, so they've definitely got their good shots in there. Let's hope they haven't used them all up, defeating those big names already.
Hij is 3. Wat wil je?
Wout. Ja, ga maar wel 3, maar... Hier.
2-3.
Netherlands second, Lawrence Hoekman doesn't look like he's too happy with that.
Haalde echt de lijn er helemaal uit.
That's 5 stones in play, so these stones can be removed.
Die was een positieve kans, zeg maar.
Jag är på. 2/3. Något tunnare än 2/3 kanske.
It's true that these teams have met several times at these World Curling Tour events and at, say, Europeans as well. And indeed, Edin certainly has the balance of wins. So just the 1 guard removed from Rasmus Brandmode. Edin's team, yeah, definitely has the record against Van Dorp's team, but like we said, this Van Dorp team, they've been really working hard and really building their name for 2 or 3 seasons. So they're definitely been coming into form.
Back 4.
Okay, hold on.
Top 4.
Oh, lijn ook. Oh, lijn ook. Wouter. Wouter.
As we said, they dumped out Retornaz and Yannick Schwaller already this weekend.
Yep, ga maar, Wout.
So they will be intimidated.
Yep.
Okay. Goed geprobeerd.
Nicka upp.
Laurens heeft gewoon weer 2 stenen minder ijs nodig dan Carlo. Of zo, ik weet het niet.
Kan jag gilla det.
Volgens mij gooi je goed, Lau.
Lite snea båda två där, så det finns ju en risk att han kan få runt någonting, men...
Ja, maar dit is 2 wezenkoppen minder dan Carlo. Hij blijft 2 stenen.
Joshua, your question, are the World Curling Tour events, are they for individual teams or national teams? They are for individual teams, but from the same nation, if that makes sense. So, yeah, Team Edin is all from Sweden. Team Van Dorp are all from Netherlands, but there are more than one Swedish team, and maybe not Netherlands team, but yeah, there are more than one Swedish team, more than one Scottish team, more than one Norwegian team, etc. in the World Curling Tour events. That was a good sweep there to get that round the guard. You can look for yourself at the World Curling Tour events. It has the schedule for the 20 to 21 season. You can check that out at worldcurlingtour.org. There's the schedule for the men's tour, the ladies tour, the mixed doubles tour, and also information if you wanted to enter any of those competitions. The next women's event looks like it is. Let me just get the calendar up. So most of those seem to be in Canada for the first few weeks, and I can't speak to whether those competitions are going ahead or whether they have some restrictions, but at least on the schedule was a women's event, Cameron's Brewing Oakville Fall Classic. That's supposed to be this weekend. Oh, yep. I think when your luck's deserted you, kind of nothing goes right. That was a nice chance for him, just to catch the outside red and then drive his shooter onto those 2 reds. Look, if he just needed to catch an edge of it, and that would have been a lovely shot.
Kommer ligga lite gömd bakom gul gard. Troligtvis, alltså en flisa.
Ook gewoon veel te weinig ijs. Oké, ik gooi hem niet goed.
So next weekend also a ladies event in Canada, the Stu Sells Oakville Tankard. And then the next European one looks like it's the Path Masters Tour in Finland in 2 weeks' time, so September the 10th to the 13th. It's a good question, Joshua. So as far as I know, you are correct that you would not have a team at these events where, for example, you have a Swedish skip and an Italian third and a Norwegian second or something like this. I'm not sure if there's a rule to stop that or whether it just doesn't really make sense, because most of these teams will also be interested in their own national championship. So it could well be that just that's never come up, actually, that you could enter such a team if you wanted to, but obviously that team would not be eligible for any national championships having a mixture of nationalities in it. So see a rare mistake there from Sweden, but I think they can afford a bit of a misthrow at the moment.
Hoe ga je gooien, zeg maar?
Huh?
Zelfde ijs of?
Nee, wel een stuk meer.
Oké. Zeg maar, wat wil je?
Ja, nog 1 bezemkop. Ja.
If you're trying to look up the World Curling Tour schedule, indeed they have a new website, so make sure you're looking in the right place. It's worldcurlingtour.org.
Yep, heel hard. Heel hard weer. Heel hard. Hard, low.
So yeah, Van Dorp gets another look at this one. That's more what he was aiming for the first time.
je zet hem gewoon half naar binnen.
Oké, top.
Bonusen var kvar här ute på kanten. Ja.
Oj, top.
Ganska tunn. Den fjärdedel kan. Tredjedel kommer nog gå cleant under tror jag. Ja, jag har 80% av den. Ja, vad gäller för fart? Vi vill vicka mer än ett sten för att inte ha den i alla fall.
So nice shot there by Jaap van Dorp. He managed to get a second bite at that cherry, but Sweden can still see it. So they'll just be looking for that controlled weight takeout. I think you could certainly have one of your curling buddies from another country sub in your team, for sure, for one weekend or something.
Ja, en tredjedel nu. Provar alla.
They're now trying to make that curl a little bit. So a little bit of a half shot from Oscar Eriksson there. Gives Netherlands a chance to come round behind everything.
Hi, come around.
Ja, det var att klippa. Göra en trippel och klippa.
Okej. Is goed.
Om man hade gjort trippel, men
Dus ja, ideaal ben je op de T-line, maar waarschijnlijk ben je dan nog niet voor die bird. Dus back 4. Buiten back 4 ligger shot, zoals je kan.
dra någonting där. Jag kände att bara försöka dra in i boet någonstans. Mycket in-out i riktning också. Jag tänkte det är väl dumt att jag klickar i garden och petar in den till en center som man kan runda också.
We're looking for another nice draw here from Dutch fourth thrower Victor Godskins.
Mer än vanlig i
Goed hard.
Oké, kom maar. Lijn is goed.
Kult niet.
Kult nog niet, maar komt zo wel.
I think he said line's
Oké,
good.
Carlo.
So
Carlo.
that's
Carlo.
nice.
Carlo, yep. Yep. Yep.
Starting
Hard
to
jongens.
turn
Yep.
now.
Hard, zo ver mogelijk. Helemaal door.
Keep that still
Yep.
moving.
Hard.
Have it to Carl
Door.
samma sten som mig då.
Yeah, super effort, Victor.
Lite mer visuellt gömd.
It's hard, these shots. I just want to be clear that it's not that anybody's really dropped the ball out there for the Netherlands. They're being faced with some tough shots, like difficult shot after difficult shot.
Jag ska smita garden för att råka toucha röd där. Den är övergömd en 5 cm. Skippa för tjockhall.
Ja.
Waarschijnlijk gewoon dezelfde bal, toch? Ja, je kan het toch wel teruggooien, maar...
Niklas Edin will just be trying to chip that yellow out, but Victor may get a second chance at it. But remember, the danger here is that Sweden has last shot in this end, so Netherlands really need a shot buried.
Rent. Rent. Håll igång lite lätt, Krippa. Japp. Lugn. Med. Japp. 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 Japp, japp, japp. Tror vi vickar
Too
ut
panicked, so that's again always a good sign.
Kannan. Har vi tangering?
Couple of options again here for Netherlands. It's their last stone, and Sweden still have a shot to come. They can try exactly the same shot again, or they could try a hit and roll from that shot that Van Dorp is just indicating. So it just depends which shot Victor is more comfortable with.
Niet heel chill, maar... Kan.
I think if they lose this end, I think the gap might just be too big to get back. So
Daar hoef je geen zorgen over te maken. Dit
this
is
is really a bit of a do or die shot for Netherlands.
Als hij anders nog een kwart ziet.
Nee, dan kan je gewoon, je kan gewoon buried zijn hier. Zeker weten. Alleen, ja, als je hier bent, ligt het inderdaad vrij makkelijk.
Ik denk die hit erop.
Is goed, gewoon normaal?
Als ze iets anders denken, ja.
Gooi je 10. Roy op zich wel iets dieper, maar...
Ik
denk normaal is beter, want als je hierheen wil, dan moet je nog shot zijn. Ja.
I think it doesn't make too much difference if
Anders gooit hij erin op,
Netherlands lose this end, whether they lose a 1, a 2 or a 3. So it's really just whatever shot Victor Godskins is more comfortable with. They really have to win this end, otherwise I think it could be too much of a mountain for them to climb.
Is ideaal.
Michaela, there is a medal award ceremony at the end. I don't think we can stream it. I don't think we have any cameras up here in the club area. But for sure people will be taking photographs, so I'm sure there will be plenty of photographs also from the rest of the event on the Baden Masters website. So it looks like the hit and roll is the call.
Off.
So let's see if the curling gods are with us to